Okay, so we've got all our painted layers in, we've got our foreground in, looking good, and so now we're gonna do a little bit of painting on the ship. So let's make a new layer and look at our alpha map again, and we can select this time the black section and inverse that selection, as it's just easier to do that than trying to pick out the white parts of the image. So again, picking colors straight off the canvas with our small little square brush, and there we go. Let's just try and cover out some of the obvious things that don't look great. I just like to sort of clean up the paneling a little bit on the ship and make it, if possible, try to look less 3D. That's the I don't want anything too obviously 3D, as we want that 2D feel to it. So we're simply using the texture that we applied in the 3D program as a guide, really. But it's come in and it's looked quite good, so I'm not gonna paint over too much. I just want to give the impression that it's still a sort of 2D image, really. So let's just try to clean up some of the paneling and some of the damage on it, on the ship and the hull especially. It's beginning to look quite good already, quite early. Just maybe paint some little details here. There's a red texture as well, the markings. Again, shift click for a straight line. Very useful. I like the way that you can sort of see the rocks through the ship. It makes the damage just look a little bit more believable. Some darkness areas as well, just a little shadowing on it. Paler color up there, I think. Some sort of sandier tones as well, because it's been in the environment a while, so it would have affected it as well. These sort of little things that you can try to think of, which would add some realism to the image, some more, make it a bit more believable. And at the front as well, some damage under the hull. You can see that the alpha map actually goes below the level of the ground, which I'm not too bothered about, but you just have to be a little bit careful of not painting over the textures as well. Just little edges there in the markings. Just get rid of that square. Okay, so let's deselect, and then sometimes it's a little bit annoying to have that flashing thing on the screen as well as when you're painting, so let's look at the tail, see, let's do a bit of freehand stuff. Again, only at 50% for the opacity of the brush, as it's sort of doing anything too harsh on the canvas. It just adds nicely to the tone of it as well. Darker there maybe. But all in all, I think it's looking good. Continue with the red. And then save. Okay, so next point now, into the final stage of the image really, we're going to add in a new layer. And we're going to add some clouds and some fog. So I'm going to switch brushes to my cloud brushes. Again, these are freely downloadable, so get out there, do some searching. Some great artists have put these brushes up and out there, so let's try and select some clouds, and then again just selecting some colors right off the canvas, off the sky, and we'll just paint over, switching brushes, paint over the peaks where we think the clouds might form, using the same colors. Doesn't matter if we think we've got too much, we're going to erase most of this, but it's good to have the color variations. Just try to mimic how you've seen clouds form, and the sky, and how they relate to the sky and the dust and everything. Okay, and then we'll go back with our eraser, select the cloud brushes again, about 50%, and then erasing is also quite a good technique for painting. What you leave behind can be what you want, so we don't want too much cloud. We don't want to completely hide what we're painting, so we'll switch between brushes. That's quite a nice one, and we'll just get rid of most of that. Okay, beginning to look good. Just check the difference between the two, with and without. Okay, looking very nice. There maybe. Keep checking, keep checking. Okay, looks good. Next layer, we are gonna switch brushes again. What I want to do is add some particles in, some dust things and stuff, so we'll use a big scatter brush just for that. Again, colors off the canvas, we'll up the opacity a little bit. Okay, let's do this, and you're probably thinking that looks ridiculous, which it does, but we're not quite done yet. And then we're going to blur this using the motion blur filter. Test whatever pixels you want. You don't want it too blurred, but that looks okay. And then we're going to again rub out most of that, just to give the impression there's wind there, and it's a little bit hostile, and I think that looks good. That looks good. Just little suggestions of things which help build up the build up the picture of the place where we are and where we've created and stuff. Then there's a great brush which you can use for adding scale. So a great way to add believable scale is to add in some birds. I'm really a big fan of this. let's just see the correct size. Maybe something like that in the background, and then a little bit bigger as we move forward. It just adds a little bit of believability to the scale of the image. Over the three mountains there, maybe some over the ship, and then again we'll go back and get rid of some. But it just adds that touch of realism to it. I don't want to overdo it, just subtle hints that we've found this big ship. So then finally, final layer is a scan of a piece of cardboard, actually, which I sometimes use just to add just a bit of dirt and grit to the image, just to sort of texture it finally. So let's just transform that to the right scale. I mean, this is something I do. It's not necessary at all, but it just sometimes looks quite good. Okay, that's a little bit too much, and it just helps also, I think, the textures on the ship just to pop out a little bit. Just helps the whiteness of it all. Let's just clone some of the obvious markings out. We don't want to overdo it. Looks good. It's just really pop the brightness and the contrast and everything. This is the final layer. Maybe a bit too much. It looks a bit better. So there we are. We're almost done, I think. Have a good look at it. Save it, and then we'll create a nice JPEG by flattening the image, sharpen, which pops. I really like to sharpen the image, and then we'll add some noise. 2%, nothing more. It gets a little bit pixelated after that. And I think that's it. I think we're done. Save this as a JPEG so you keep your original Photoshop image with the layers. And that's it. That's our completed concept art image. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck creating your own.